Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio taking to the stand today to defend his hardline stance on illegal immigration. Thanks for choosing us. I'm Katie Rammel.
And I'm Steve Irvin. The sheriff and his deputies are being sued over claims they racially profiled Hispanics during neighborhood crime sweeps. ABC 15's Navita Fragani is live at the federal courthouse in Phoenix with more on what the sheriff had to say under oath.
That's right, Steve. Everything that Sheriff Arpaio has said since 1996 was under a microscope, from written statements to media interviews. But some of the most fascinating testimony given today and some of the most fascinating evidence given today were live TV interview clips that they had presented to the judge. One that I want to share with you was back in 2007, a press conference with Arpaio where he stated, "Our program is pure. We go after illegals, not the crime. We go after illegals and lock them up." Now, another clip that was shown in court today by the plaintiffs was when with the Glenn Beck interview, where Glenn Beck asked Arpaio how he identified who illegals were, and he stated, if it looks like they're erratic or scared, or if it looks like they're coming from another country, then we take care of that. Now, these are just two of some of the many controversial clips that were shown today in court. And joining us to talk about how these clips are going to impact these proceedings is Scott Halverson. You're a civil rights attorney. These were some pretty amazing statements that came right from Sheriff Arpaio's mouth, recorded on live television. Tell me how this is going to impact the case.
I think you're right. If there was a smoking gun today's testimony, that was it, the video clips. It's difficult to say. Later on in the afternoon, when questioned by his own attorney, Sheriff Arpaio said, "Look, I make comments off the cuff. I don't have a script. I say things, but that's not my policy. That's not the policy of MCSO." So the judge is going to have to decide ultimately whether, in fact, it's which is the real Sheriff Arpaio. Is it the Sheriff Arpaio that's making these bombastic statements to conservative constituents, or is it the Sheriff Arpaio that's much more deferential, much more soft in today's testimony under oath, where he said, "We just don't do any racial profiling"?
Also presented in court were these letters from people in the community making complaints about people of Hispanic descent, like day laborers, hanging out on possible street corners soon after sweeps were done in these areas. Sheriff Arpaio stated that, he passes on these letters to the appropriate people. He's not in charge of operations. Tell me what you say. Are these letters enough to build their case?
Those letters are not as persuasive, at least in my opinion. I mean, he was able to sort of pass the buck by saying, "Look, I give all the letters that I get to the appropriate subordinates in my office. They receive these letters and they evaluate them independently and decide what to do with them. I don't tell them what to do." So passing them on isn't encouraging them to actually go out and day laborers.
All right, thank you so much for your time, and it's going to be interesting to see how these court he did just wrapped up, so he might be back in court tomorrow for cross-examination. So it's going to be extremely interesting, Katie, on how all of this is going to play out in court.
That was the exact word I was going to use. Such an interesting case. Thank you, Navita.